Welcome everyone to step one of performing assignment 7063, email, memo, and letter, or what I like to refer to it as the local business assignment. So if you're starting out in Moodle at learn.illinois.edu, you can scroll down to week one. And as you can see, we are going to begin assignment 7063 in the first week, but it isn't due until Monday of the second week of class. Okay, so if you click on this link here in the intro, a wiki page will pop open with the assignment prompt. Okay, so this is 7063. If you want to learn more about the assignment overall, you can always just check out my video on the 7063 overview. Okay, so this video is specifically about underneath tasks, step one, and then also the researching part of step two. So in this assignment, you have to create two documents. In the first document, you have to write a memo to your boss, Alex, about a local business. And so I'm going to first talk about what kind of local place of business you should select. I think it would be better if you could pick a local business that isn't a huge chain, but if that's not possible, that's okay. And by local, it means local to where you are, so that you would be able to visit the location physically. Okay. So other than that, other things you might think about to make your decision about what local business you want to select, you might just first start by thinking about what kind of business you'd like to research. It's possible that the research you do in this assignment could lead to developing this topic further in later projects. So definitely try to pick something that you'd like to know more about, that you're interested in, or that you know a lot about. Pick something interesting. You know, you could pick a comic book store, as well as the classics, which are like restaurants. Okay, because you are going to have to visit this place at least once. Other ways you might select a business is making sure that there's a lot of primary research to study or to collect. So real quick, to talk about the differences between primary and secondary research, because you're probably going to need to use both. If you'll go to our Moodle page and scroll down to the bottom of week one, you'll find a Word document labeled "What is Primary Research?" And so this is just information I've collected and put into a Word document. And if you open that up, this document will pop up. So basically, the difference between primary and secondary research is primary sources are pure data or pure information. They aren't being interpreted by anything else. And so primary resource might be your phone, for example. If you wanted to talk about or do an analysis of texting language and what kind of language people use in text messages, your text messages would be a primary source. It's just pure information that you can use as examples. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of primary sources. Even so, legal documents are primary sources. In the scope of this assignment, the menu would be a primary source. A Google map showing its location and what's around it would be a primary source. Online reviews would be primary sources, so that would be people's opinions. And then you could take those online reviews and those opinions and analyze it and put it into a chart or graph. So this is where primary and secondary sources kind of get a little confusing. So for example, if you wanted to learn more about what kind of customers go to your local business, like you need to address in item 2G. One of the ways that you could research that is by doing an interview with the owner or with a worker. Now that interview, just the pure Q&A, would be a primary source. However, if you went online and looked up an interview conducted by somebody else, if you found just the pure Q&A, what the interviewer asked and what the interviewee answered, that is still a primary source. But if you are taking your information from an article in which a writer is choosing what is quoted and what it means that article is a secondary source because secondary sources take information and another writer interprets it. Okay. Okay, so that's the basic difference between primary and secondary sources. And the reason why I wanted to explain that first is because when we're narrowing down our focus for a local business, I want to make sure that there's plenty of data out there in primary research that I would be able to draw from. So the example I'll be using throughout these videos for this assignment is Espresso Royale. So Espresso Royale is a small chain in this area, in the Champaign, Illinois area, as well as in another college town. And so I'm going to use them for my example. So I'm going to do a Google search of them, and they have several locations in this area. So I'm going to focus on the one on let's just do Neal Street. Okay. So there are several locations, and if possible, I don't want to go to their website right now. I want to look at reviews. So I'm going to do a search for reviews. Okay, and here are some Yelp reviews. And it looks like there's different ones, different locations. So I'll go and try to find the reviews about my location that I want to focus on. This one is on Oregon Street, and that's fine for this example. So what I would be able to do is try to see how many reviews there are, and if I can find at least 50 reviews, the more reviews the better, the more data points the better, then I should be able to put some data together in a charter graph and talk about what major concerns they're having or why people like them, and what people basically use this information to answer a bunch of questions. So I could ask, what do people seem to like the most? Or what are people buying? And so I can mine some information from these reviews and come up with an answer to that question. So this page would be a primary source, and I would just cite this page. So it would be quote Espresso Royale, italics, Yelp.com, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's one way that I would recommend that you narrow your focus. Once you have an idea of a business you'd like to select because you're interested in them, they're in business, they're local, do a search of some kind to see how much information you can find online about like how people are responding and what reviews are out there. Okay, so Google is just an example of that, and there may be other more local resources that have reviews, and you're welcome to use those instead. Okay, so once I've checked to make sure that the local business that I'm interested in has some primary research online, it also helps if they have a website. That way you can go to their website and find some primary information there as well, such as what they sell and what their prices are. That would be helpful information as well. So once you feel confident that there is some primary research out there that you can collect, that's a pretty good indicator that this will be a good business to use. And that's basically it. So pick a business you like, make sure it's local, preferably not a huge chain, and see if there's any primary research out there that you can collect on them. And if all of those points are true, then you've got a good business to do your assignment on. Okay, I hope this video was helpful. For our next video, I will be focusing on developing your paragraphs for the content of this memo, and I hope that you'll check it out. Thanks.